Let's see what the energy like over here. Let's see what it feel like over here. So, hi. I've been doing these lives here lately about the ancient ones. So, let me give you a little background about what's going on right now. So, at 6 years old, telling you about my life, my story. At 6 years old, I was introduced to a Bible because my family is clergy. So I was in church. Um, I was exposed to the Sunday school teachings. I was exposed to the writings in the Bible. I was exposed to Paradise. I was exposed to several other books that spoke about spiritual knowledge. Not to mention, my childhood friend was from a place called Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is in India, and I learned about the Hindu culture at a very young age. Um, I was learning about Krishna, Shiva. I was learning about Lord Ganesh. I was learning about Parvati. Um, so I knew about the Hindu religion before I even stepped foot in a church. But I did not know at 6 years old that this stuff was called religion. I did not know that this was spirituality. I did not know, you know, I was six, but I was exposed to it. I was around my friend Shannon, um, who practiced Catholicism, candle magic. Um, she would have holy water when you come in her house. I'm six now. The Virgin Mary up on the wall, the statues, the saints. She would pray to the different saints. Keep in mind, I'm doing this now. I don't realize what I'm doing, but I'm doing it, right? So I go to church and I learn about King Solomon. I learned that he is an Israelite and he is the wisest man that ever lived. And I remember being 6 years old, wanting that wisdom, wanting to be the wisest person, wanting to have access to that wisdom, being interested in Solomon, being interested in his writings and his ways and anything that you said about him, because I realized that he was Solomon. Greetings, Ro, greetings. Because I realized that he was Solomon. He was the wisest man that ever lived. Who don't want to be like Solomon? So I found out that Solomon is a wizard. Solomon has a wand. I found out that Solomon actually can cast spells. So now on my journey, I'm reading all these books that's missing out the Bible. I'm learning about Egypt. I'm learning about all these different cultures and civilizations. I still don't know this stuff go together at the time, right? So, as I can continue to build my knowledge and go on my journey, I'm starting to put this stuff together. I'm starting to realize how this all goes together. And so now I wanted to organize it and show you that this is the Olmec civilization. The Olmecs is the original civilization. So that means these are the first people that were here. So according to your Bible, it say in your Bible that Adam, Eve, Seth, and their sons, and Cain and Abel were the first people here. So if they were the first people here, that means that they were Olmec. because the Olmec were the first people here. So when you go and study history and then you pull your Bible out and you compare your Bible with history, 2 plus 2 is 4. The Olmec are the oldest people. Adam was the first people, so they were the Olmec. The Olmec, so let's go study the Olmec to give us a idea of our ancestry. Because if we the people from the Bible, then we are the people who can go back and access this ancestry. So this ancestry will take us back to the original land, which is Mexico. Okay? So with it being Mexico, they're called the Olmec. They have Mech in their name, like Mecca, Olmec, America, Tameri. These are names that are given to the land that they live on, that they dwell in. Tameri. That's what they called it, Tameri. There are maps that you can look up and see that these ancient people lived in a land called Tameri. That these people lived in Mexico. These people lived in Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia means between the waters. So if you look at America, you will see there is water at the top, there is water at the bottom, and there is water on the sides because America is an island. So America would consider as a Mediterranean because it is in between the waters. I'm sorry, Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia, in between the waters. So this is ancient Mesopotamia we're talking about here. The first civilization that ever existed. So the first civilization, which is Mesopotamia, these are the Sumers, these are the Sumerians. So then you go back and you study the Sumerians because these are the original people. These are the people that came on the earth, and these are the people that became fruitful and started to multiply. These are the people that started to have sons and daughters. These are the people who started to create mighty empires. So now we must learn about Sumerian empires. Now we must get acquainted with those Sumerian and Assyrian ancestors. These are people that practice divination. These are people that were called the ancient Chaldeans. These were people that were stargazers. These were people that practiced advanced technology such as astrology. These people had telescopes. These people were building pyramids, mounds that were in alignment with the stars, in alignment with the planets, in alignment with the spiritual realm. These Olmec heads, let me show you an image. These Olmec heads actually had the map of the stars in them. It's not, of course, it's not going to let you see the whole picture. I hate when it does that. It's the benefit of being on TikTok. You can see the whole picture. On here, I never know till I put the picture up what you can see. But they had a guide because they were very spiritually in tune, and they knew that the animals, which were the watchers of the garden, right? These are the watchers, right? So if you go back to Jungle Book, in the movie Jungle Book, it shows a jungle, which would be the Amazon jungle, right? That is a jungle. Down there in South America, that's jungle. Those are jungles down there. The rainforest, those are tropical forests down there. Okay, so in this jungle where you have the tigers, the tigers are indigenous to the jungle. You have the jaguar, you have the cougar, you have the wolf, you have all these different animals that have to live in harmony. That's what makes the Jungle Book, right? Okay, so greetings, everybody. As you come into the room, if you could please hit that like button if you like the content. Gratitude, that would be great. Yes, that would be great. Okay, so when you come into, okay, so these jaguars and these cougars and panthers and lions and tigers and bears are all guardians. So let me put up some information so you can see how, where, what, I want to give you some knowledge because that's what you're here for, right? Okay, so explaining about a spiritual guardian. A spiritual guardian in various belief systems refers to a spiritual entity assigned to protect, guide, support an individual throughout their life. These entities can be angels, spirit guides, and other divine beings. So, our ancestors had knowledge about guardian spirits. They had knowledge about being guided by the supernatural world. They had knowledge about angels. They had knowledge about protectors, guardians, supporters. They had knowledge about the guides that are on the other side, the ancestors, right? So they were spiritually tapped in. These was a spiritual people now. So it says in various spiritual traditions, the concept of the soul animal or spirit animal is often used to represent a unique connection between an individual and a specific animal, symbolizing personal qualities, life lessons, guardian. This concept can be found in shamanism. So when I say these people were shamans, do you understand that now? Like that should hit different now. When we talk about the Olmecs being shamans and you see them with a jaguar attire on, you should automatically know what you're looking at. When we talk about Powhatan, the tribe that is in the East Gate, which is the Carolinas, you should know about the bear and why they got on bear furs. Why are they wearing bear furs and why is the bear fur their animal archetype? Because they understood the energy between the soul animal, the soul spirit, and the natural world and the spiritual realm. They understood this science. It's alchemy. They understood it, right? So that's what made them shamans. So when I say that the Indians were shamans, when I say that the Indians were these healing people, when I say these people had knowledge of animals and spirit animals and they would um, show divinity to these divine spirits. Okay, so here a spiritual animal totem is a symbolic representation of an animal spirit that is believed to often offer guidance, protection, and wisdom. It can be a crest, emblem, or other visible representation that signifies a connection between the individual, tribe, or family. So, when we talking about your spiritual animal, we talking about the animal that is associated with your tribe. Your tribe is your ancestors. So, your ancestor could have had a bear spirit. Your ancestor could have had an elephant spirit. Your ancestor could have had a bird spirit, hummingbird spirit, a bee spirit, a ant spirit. So these are all animal totems because your ancestor was connected to that bloodline, to that tribe, right? The ant tribe or the bear tribe or whatever tribe that is. That's why when in the earlier days that they called it that. They would have Brother Bear, they would have, Sister Deer, and they would have, you know, Brother Bird and Brother Falcon, and people named themselves after animals because they were associated with them spiritually. They were having a high level conversation, because they understood their traits, they understood their qualities, they understood their superpowers, their abilities. This is before they were sent to institutions to become institutionalized. Because education systems, according to the dictionary, says that there are institutions. So if you go look up the word institutionalized, it means to program somebody, put somebody on a program, put somebody on some type of curriculum or agenda, right? So that means you control what guides them. You control what protects them. You control where they get their wisdom from. You control every aspect of that person because they are no longer seeking the spiritual realm. Now they seeking artificial sources. Now they look into man. They look into master. They look into overseers. They look into um, the government systems. They look into whoever can tell them what to do because they can't figure it out on their own. Why? Because that ability has been removed to be natural, to be in tune. So now you seek for solutions instead of seeking within yourself. See, they took us off the land. We are the land. So when you can have somebody stop going within themselves, you can control them. And I say that because we are the Golden Compass. There is a movie called The Golden Compass. I suggest that you go watch it. And it's talking about animal spirits. And it talks about how they separated the soul from the spirit. And it breaks all this down. So the word encompass comes from the Middle English encompassion, which is a combination prefix meaning the N word compass. The word compass itself has roots to the old French and sugar Latin, ultimately tracing back to Latin words related to pace out or measure. Encompass points to the surrounding holding within or including comprehensively. So with your compass is how you comprehend where you at. Your compass is how you pull out this navigation system. You pull out this tool. You pull out this circle. Because your circle is your diadem. Your circle is your chakra. Your circle is your energetic field. Your circle is your ability to connect with the source. Your circle is also the soul, your eye, right? Because the eyes are the windows of the soul. The eyes are circular. You got me with the circles here. That's why even in Jerusalem we built circles and camped around it for protection because circles are sacred. So when you pull out this sacred circle, your compass, and you are attached to this guide, animal spirit, deity, ancestor, angel in the spiritual realm, you start getting navigation and downloads. You start getting direction. You start getting some GPS directions on where to go, what to do consciously. You start getting guidance from the spiritual realm. You start getting information, intel. You start understanding because you are being led through your golden compass. Okay? So that's what our ancestors would do. And this is an image of the golden compass. They would call it a sun disk, and they would call it a diadem or a halo. And this is what made you an angelical being, because you had access to that golden compass, that aura. You had access to the spiritual realm. You had access to the divine, and it gave you a golden aura, because that became your golden compass. You know, that became your time. Um, this image here is a image of King David. I have a couple of images of King David in my phone, but we'll get to King David later, okay? Because I didn't come here to talk about King David. We came here to talk about these Olmec, which were the original people, which would have had to been the our ancestors, which were Adam and his sons, right? I have some images still of the feather, because now when we see him with his headdress on, we see the eagle feathers. So we see that he is connected to a spiritual bird. So once we see that he is connected to a spiritual bird, we are aware that he has a golden compass, right? We are aware that he is getting the navigation from the spiritual realm. We are aware that he is being led through the spirit on where to go. He is getting these downloads. He is getting this intelligence. He is getting this golden intelligence from the spiritual realm. So, with that being said, if you look at the images, you see all the different spirals. You see the technology here, how we wore different things on our heads, right? Um, this is our technology. I wanted to show you that we could fly. We had flying machines, and they are visible in our history that we were an advanced people. We were flying since the beginning. We are alpha and omega people. You know, powerful people. This stuff was hidden in history. How are you supposed to know that you could fly? So you were the flying serpent, as you can see. New Mexico, New Zealand. It has New Mexico. It has as ancient Egypt. Because remember, I was explaining how the Olmec are Egyptian. Because when I go live on TikTok sometimes, you know, people come all on the chat and start dropping, you know, they just come in and start commenting and posting stuff. And sometimes it get confusing. Not everybody. Some people will come in and post and it actually is correct information and they helping us evolve and learn. Then you got some people that just come in there and they want to just, well, these ain't these people and they could beat them, and if that was them and they ain't the same, and you know, you get people that don't study, because it clearly say here on this picture that the ancient Egyptians was flying serpents, and it say that the Olmec were flying serpents. So are we gonna let anybody tell us that these is two different people from this day forward? No, we not. Why? Because we studied. We did some research. We could go back and pull up this picture and show that these people are the same people. These people have been an advanced ancient civilization for a very long time, and people that don't study civilizations are not going to tell us anything about civilizations. Why? Because we know how to study civilizations. If we question a civilization, we have enough sense to go research that civilization, don't we? Because I like to help people get their spiritual shit together. I like to help people make it make sense. And so when the people come confusing us, I have to straighten that out. Why? Because that's going against us making it make sense. You know what I'm saying? Because once you get this knowledge, you can't unsee it. So let me continue on with, that's another image of the flying serpent, and tell you the name of the, it's comparing the Egyptians to the Olmec, and it's letting you know they the same people. They just have different ways of saying it. So it's showing you they God, and it's showing you they God. So we can clearly see these the same people. We can clearly see that, okay? I apologize, y'all, that the map, I mean, you know, some of the words are cut off, but it's okay. It's okay. We making it. We making it work. Okay, so here we have they thrones and they altars, which I have another picture of they thrones and they altars. So these were people of a high priesthood. We saw they casting system, right? We saw how they set up their structures, their governments, right? So we know that these were people of a high priest. So the Kemet, the ancient Kemites, are a high priesthood. The ancient Israelites are a high priesthood. The people of Cush are a high priesthood. The people of Mizraim are a high priesthood. Now, these are all related to Egypt. So, yes, these are a people of a high priesthood. So, yes, these people built altars, these people built thrones, these people had talked about the deities, which was the sun. These people worshiped the sun. This is why they built these mounds, to be closer to the sun, to do sun worship, to get higher downloads, to get darker, because that means they're being kissed by the sun. So being dark was very important for these people. Why? Because they were the sun people. Okay? So let's keep going. So this is one of the altars up close. You can see he has the feathers, he has the bird, the flying serpent on his head, because he's letting you know that your serpent can fly. He's letting you know sacred knowledge that they used to teach us, and it has gotten lost because we forgot that we are these people. We think that these people so ancient that they don't exist no more. We not realizing these people ancient blood is still here running through our veins. We are those people. It's just has been a long time that you forgot over time who you were. But you did leave it in stone. You did carve it in stone. You did leave yourself stone monuments all over the planet to remind thyself of who you are. That's why we have this term that will activate your DNA called know thyself. Just saying that to somebody will get them going. I'm telling you. Know thyself. So they lived in houses that were built with limestone. Y'all see this limestone. See, we done turned into limestone experts. I love the fact that we studied limestones on previous videos. So now when we see limestone structures, we know what we looking at. We know who built it. We know where they got the limestone from. We know that these monuments, so these are the original buildings, if you can see. So this is where your Tartarian buildings originated from. These would be the first models of the Tartarian buildings. As you can see, the structure kind of looks similar to, you could tell how the buildings advanced. In other words, they advanced over time. Because the mastery, you have to think the more people do stuff, the better people get. So the more your blood do something, the stronger your bloodline get at that thing. So your bloodline has always been in that category. So like I come from a bloodline of preachers and priests and teachers. Now I really understand why. So every lineage, it gets stronger. So I see why I'm so strong. You know, because my great grandma was a prophetess, a high priest. You know, I come from a bloodline of high priests. So I can see why I have a high priestly blood. You know what I'm saying? Um, when I was showing you the images of the serpent and how they had serpents on a wall, they had alligators on a wall, they had these animals because they practiced animal totem. They were um let me here we go. So these are the first people that lived. Isis and Osiris. So that Isis and Osiris would have been living somewhere down there. So they remain somewhere down there. They actually found a 13-foot mummy that they claim is Isis because these are ancestors, which are the Olmec, which are the original people, are giants. These were some giant people. You saw them Olmec kids. They were giants. They were titans. It even teaches you in Greek mythology that they were titans. You know, they were gods. You know, the fact that they were actually, because if you know the whole story from the Book of the Dead, how basically the sun came here to live in human form and the wind came here to live in human form and the water came, you know. So nature took on human form and came here to exist as humans. But it was still nature. So this is where you get the Orishas from, how they got lightning and thunder and rain and they, you know. So the Orishas is basically a form of mythology. And it's talking about the 12 gods. You got Christianity talking about the 12 tribes of Israel. Then you have the New Testament where they talking about the 12 disciples. Then you got education where they tell you Abraham Lincoln, the president, was running around with 12 men. That go that 12. Then you have the 13 colonies that derive from that 12. You got the 12 pearly gates of heaven. You got the 12 portals that the sun go through in the book of Enoch. You know this 12 gonna keep on coming up. It's interchangeable with 13, depending on who talking. You will hear about the 12 or the 13th. The 13th colony, the 13th amendment, the 12 zodiacs. Then they saying it's 13 zodiacs. You got 12 cranial nerves. You know, you keep hearing about this 12. The 13 bloodlines. So that's 13 colonies. So those are the rich people, well, the people from the Bible that inherited the land because they are these people. But do you see how they inherited the land? They inherited the land because these are their ancestors. They could go back and pull out a picture of the original people where they originated from. They can tell you that they came from the earth itself. They will tell you this. But some of us that don't know that they really did come from the earth, we would think that's crazy. We would think that, you know, we can't fathom that kind of stuff, so we would reject it. But yes, these are the Olmec people, and these are an advanced civilization, and this is where we originate from. I'm gonna show you some more about the Olmec before I end this because I don't want to make it confusing and start talking about something else. Um, Greetings, greetings. So there are Olmec heads that are found. They found Olmec heads like in New Jersey. They done found Olmec heads in Mexico. So we got to kind of do our research and see where geographically these Olmec heads are located, because now that we could trace Isis, Beirut, and Adam and Eve, and the 12, we could go get out our different mythologies and start studying mythology so we could become more aware of who the Titans are. We could start getting this, right? Because they got movies to Titans. I think I'm gonna go watch it so I can get a better understanding of what was going on in those days. Because I'm very aware in mythology they had mystical creatures. So that make the Lord of the Rings make sense. That make the Hobbit make sense, right? They had Harry Potter, you know what I'm saying? So it makes sense that they had all these mystical creatures in the land. And then not only did they have the mystical creatures, it was a bunch of wars, it was Vikings, it was dragons, people were slaying dragons. It was a lot going on. So this is where we just come into a starting point so we can start to know where to go in here and study it. So now that we are aware that the Olmec are the first people, they Egyptians, which mean they Greek, which mean they Roman, right? Okay, so now that we squared that away, now we can go and study mythology. So that means we gonna study all mythologies, but we gonna study one at a time so we could be clear. Because first we gonna go in there and get our Roman mythology. We gonna make that make sense. Once we get a hand on that Roman mythology, we could step it up to Greek. Then we could compare and contrast and make that make sense so we get that before we go into Egyptian mythology. Then we can make that make sense, so on and so forth. Until we have conquered it and we make it make sense, because this mythology is actually our religion. You go back to Plato, Book Atlantis. Plato is telling you that there are real documents, historical events, and historical accounts that the Olympians were living. And he said that the Olympians were the Atlanteans. And I'm starting to understand why they call them the Atlanteans now, because we did a whole live on Cleopatra, which I will be uploading onto my YouTube channel, Cleopatra, because we just went and got a lot of knowledge about her. We gonna do some more videos on her because she go real deep. But yes, I give gratitude to you for tapping in, watching. I'm helping you to get your notes organized. I'm helping myself get my notes organized, because we gonna do this. We gonna put this together and we gonna get our spiritual stuff together. We're gonna figure out who we are ancestry. We're gonna figure out the story about our people. We're gonna learn. We looking at pictures. We are really doing this. And I give gratitude that you are a part of this journey, and gratitude for letting me be a part of your journey. And I will talk to you beautiful souls real soon. Hopefully you enjoyed the Olmec. Leave comments. Let me know how you liked the video. And if you made it to the end, please like the video. And for more information, I have been working on these e-booklets so that you can print this out with the pictures and things like that. So if you're interested, please reach out to me on my website at spiritualsituation.com. So that's spiritual-situation.com. So it's one word, spiritualsituation.com. Yes, and let's get it, people. I do readings too. So the way I do read is, if you one of those people that is new to knowledge and you need to tap in, I will help you. You have to book a reading though with me, and I will help lace you up. I'm telling you. I will help you lace yourself up, and so you will know exactly what it is you need to study for you. Customary off your birthday, off your soul return, off your zodiac sign, off your stars, off your planets, off your astrology. I will lace you up, okay, and even show you how to get in there. But you gotta let me know. So if you want to inbox me on my inbox me on TikTok, or reach out to me on my website, or even leave a message here if you having issues, so I can at least, your email address, or, well, don't put your email address on here because, weirdos. But my website link is in the bio. So you could go to the bio, get that website, go on there, and you could direct message me. But I will talk to you beautiful souls real soon. Peace.